The Peninsula Manila. Even the name whispered promises of opulence and unparalleled service. Nestled in the heart of Makati, the Philippines' bustling financial district, the hotel stood as a beacon of refined elegance, a sanctuary from the vibrant chaos of the city outside. Its reputation preceded it, not just for its lavish suites and world-class amenities, but for the genuine warmth and unwavering dedication of its staff. Filipino hospitality was legendary, and at the Peninsula it was elevated to an art form. From the impeccably dressed doormen to the ever-attentive concierge, every member of the team seemed genuinely committed to ensuring each guest felt welcomed and cared for. This was more than just a hotel. It was an experience, a carefully curated symphony of comfort and consideration, a place where even the most discerning traveler could find respite and a sense of belonging. Cutting through the serene atmosphere of the Peninsula lobby came Brenda, a woman sculpted by privilege and a lifetime of getting her way. She was a stark contrast to the hotel's understated elegance. Approaching her early 50s, she was adorned in clothing that screamed money but lacked taste, a designer handbag clashing with a sequin top, oversized sunglasses perched precariously on her head. Every movement, every glance, exuded an air of entitlement. She surveyed the surroundings with a critical eye, as if judging whether they met her exacting standards. A faint frown etched itself on her face, hinting at the dissatisfaction that seemed to perpetually simmer beneath the surface. It was clear from first glance. Brenda was not here to relax and enjoy. She was here to be served, and woe betide anyone who didn't meet her expectations. Brenda marched towards the check-in desk, her designer heels clicking impatiently on the marble floor. Before she even reached the counter, she launched into her tirade. "This is unacceptable. My flight was delayed for 6 hours. 6 hours." She slammed her hand on the polished surface, causing a few heads to turn. "I expect some kind of compensation for this ridiculous inconvenience." Without pausing for breath, she continued, "And I booked a standard room, but after that ordeal, I deserve an upgrade. A suite, with a view, immediately." She folded her arms, her expression daring anyone to contradict her. The other guests in the vicinity exchanged nervous glances, sensing the impending storm. The check-in area, once a haven of tranquility, was now charged with Brenda's palpable displeasure. Behind the desk, Maria maintained her composure, a picture of grace under pressure. Young, perhaps in her mid-20s, she possessed a natural poise that belied her age. Her uniform was immaculate, her hair neatly pulled back, and her smile, though polite, didn't quite reach her eyes. There was a subtle weariness there, a hint of countless similar encounters etched into the corners of her mouth. Despite the demanding outburst, Maria's voice remained calm and measured. "Good morning, madam," she said, her tone professional and soothing. "I am so sorry to hear about the delay. Let me see what I can do to assist you." She typed quickly on the computer, her fingers flying across the keyboard, a practiced efficiency honed by years of experience in the hospitality industry. "Assist me? By magically producing a presidential suite." Brenda scoffed, rolling her eyes. "Honestly, this lobby is smaller than my bathroom back home, and I bet that standard room I booked is overlooking a dumpster." She leaned closer, her voice dripping with condescension. "I can barely understand you. Are you sure you even understand what I'm asking for? Maybe they should hire people who speak proper English." The thinly veiled insult hung in the air, a sharp contrast to the hotel's elegant surroundings. Maria's polite smile tightened almost imperceptibly, but she didn't flinch. The line behind Brenda grew longer, the murmurs of disapproval becoming more audible. "Madam, I sincerely apologize if you feel that way," Maria responded, her voice still even and controlled. "While we don't have any presidential suites available at the moment, I would be happy to check if a complimentary upgrade to a deluxe room is possible, based on availability and our hotel policy." She began to explain the process, but Brenda cut her off with a dismissive wave of her hand. "Hotel policy? I don't care about your hotel policy." Brenda's voice rose, echoing through the lobby. I'm a paying customer, and I expect to be treated with respect. I want a suite, and I want it now." She slammed her fist on the counter again, making several people jump. The scene was becoming increasingly unpleasant, drawing the attention of even more guests. The line behind Brenda stretched longer now, a silent testament to her escalating rudeness. A young couple on their honeymoon exchanged worried glances. An elderly gentleman sighed audibly, adjusting his glasses with a weary shake of his head. A businessman in a sharp suit checked his watch impatiently. The initial amusement or curiosity had long faded, replaced by a palpable sense of discomfort and annoyance. Brenda's outburst was not only disrupting the peaceful atmosphere of the hotel, but was also delaying everyone else's check-in process. The collective frustration in the air was almost tangible, a simmering resentment directed squarely at the loud, demanding woman at the front of the line. "I've had enough of this," Brenda declared, her voice dripping with impatience. "I want to speak to your manager. Now, I'm sure they'll be more accommodating than you are." She tapped her foot impatiently, convinced that a higher authority would immediately cave to her demands. It was a tactic she'd employed countless times before, and it rarely failed. In Brenda's mind, intimidation was the key to getting what she wanted. She believed that a manager, eager to avoid a scene, would readily grant her demands just to make her go away. She fully expected to be whisked away to a luxurious suite, all apologies and complimentary champagne. Maria, unfazed by Brenda's demand, replied with unwavering politeness. "Madam, I understand your frustration. Unfortunately, the manager is currently unavailable. However," she continued, meeting Brenda's gaze directly, "I assure you that I am fully capable of assisting you and will do everything within my power to resolve this situation to your satisfaction." Brenda scoffed, unconvinced. "Right? Because you've been so helpful so far." She crossed her arms, her expression radiating skepticism. She clearly didn't believe that Maria had either the authority or the inclination to actually help her. In Brenda's eyes, Maria was simply a hurdle to overcome on her path to getting what she wanted. But behind Maria's calm facade lay a story Brenda couldn't even begin to imagine. A whirlwind of images flashed through Maria's mind. Late nights studying under a dim light, fueled by instant coffee and unwavering determination. A coveted scholarship to Harvard, a lifeline for her family. The weight of their hopes and dreams resting on her young shoulders. Years of relentless work, fueled by the desire to repay her parents' sacrifices. A Harvard degree earned with honors. And then the difficult decision. Forgoing a lucrative career abroad to return home, to care for her ailing parents and support her younger siblings. A secret, carefully guarded, hidden beneath the hotel uniform and polite smile. Back in the present, Brenda, oblivious to the inner turmoil raging within Maria, pressed her attack. "Honestly, I don't know how you even got this job," she sneered, her voice laced with contempt. "You're clearly not qualified to handle demanding guests like me. Maybe you should find something more suited to your abilities." The words were like a slap in the face, a direct assault on Maria's competence and her sense of self-worth. The years of hard work, the sacrifices she had made, the unwavering dedication to her family, all of it seemed to be dismissed with a single cruel sentence. This time, the weariness in Maria's eyes deepened, replaced by a flicker of something else. A quiet resolve. Reaching her breaking point, Maria took a deep, steadying breath. The years of training, the ingrained professionalism, had kept her composed thus far, but Brenda's personal attack had crossed a line. She wouldn't resort to yelling or arguing. That wasn't her style. Instead, she would deploy a different weapon, the power of her intellect. Her tone remained polite, almost deceptively so, but the language she used took a sharp turn. The simple, accommodating phrases she had been using vanished, replaced by a vocabulary that was precise, articulate, and subtly devastating. The Harvard graduate was about to make her presence known. "Madam," Maria began, her voice now carrying a subtly different cadence. "While I understand your dissatisfaction stemming from the flight delay, it's important to contextualize your expectations within the framework of our established policies and the prevailing circumstances. She paused, allowing her words to sink in. Your assertion that the hotel's aesthetic is somehow deficient, or that your reserved accommodations are inherently substandard, is, with all due respect, a subjective evaluation lacking empirical support. Furthermore, she continued, her gaze unwavering, the implicit correlation you've drawn between my linguistic proficiency and my professional capabilities is not only demonstrably false, but also reflects a rather unfortunate reliance on prejudiced assumptions. Furthermore, Maria continued, her voice unwavering, I must also bring to your attention that your current behavior constitutes a violation of Section 4.2, subsection B, of our hotel's guest conduct policy, which explicitly prohibits disruptive behavior that infringes upon the comfort and well-being of other patrons. Additionally, she added, subtly raising an eyebrow, your repeated shouting is in contravention of Makati City Ordinance 2003-095, pertaining to noise pollution in commercial establishments. She paused, allowing the weight of her words to settle. It was a masterclass in subtle authority, demonstrating not only her intellectual superiority but also her comprehensive knowledge of the rules and regulations governing the hotel and the city. Brenda's jaw dropped slightly. The confident, entitled demeanor that had defined her entrance began to crumble. She blinked, clearly struggling to process the sudden shift in Maria's language and the unexpected force of her rebuttal. Well, she stammered, her voice losing its earlier volume and conviction. I didn't mean, she floundered, searching for a coherent response. But the sophisticated vocabulary and the weight of Maria's accusations seemed to have robbed her of her usual bluster. A flush crept up her neck, a clear indication of her mounting embarrassment and discomfiture. A subtle shift rippled through the line of waiting guests. The initial discomfort and annoyance began to morph into something akin to quiet admiration. A few knowing glances were exchanged, accompanied by barely perceptible nods of approval. An elderly woman offered Maria a small, encouraging smile. The businessman, who had been impatiently checking his watch, now gave a discreet thumbs up. It was a silent show of solidarity, a collective acknowledgement of Maria's grace under fire and a subtle rebuke of Brenda's boorish behavior. They had witnessed the takedown, the masterful dismantling of Brenda's entitlement, and they were firmly on Maria's side. Maria concluded her measured response with a final, subtle flourish. However, madame, she said, her voice retaining its polite but now undeniably firm tone, if, despite my best efforts, you remain fundamentally dissatisfied with our establishment, I would be more than happy to assist you in securing alternative accommodations at another hotel that might better suit your particular preferences. The implication was clear, unspoken but unmistakable. If Brenda couldn't appreciate the Peninsula Manila and treat its staff with respect, she was free to leave. It was a gracious offer, but one laced with a quiet, steely resolve. She was unwelcome. The fight had gone out of Brenda. The wind had been completely knocked out of her sails. Humiliated and utterly defeated, she mumbled, "No, that won't be necessary. The standard room will be fine." Her voice was barely audible, a stark contrast to the booming pronouncements she had made just moments before. She avoided eye contact with Maria, with the other guests, with anyone. Her gaze was fixed on the floor, as if searching for an escape route from her public shaming. The swagger was gone, replaced by a palpable sense of shame and a desperate desire to disappear. With practiced efficiency, Maria resumed her duties, her fingers flying across the keyboard as she completed Brenda's check-in. She processed the paperwork, printed the key card, and explained the hotel amenities with the same professional courtesy she extended to every guest. Her demeanor remained impeccable, her smile polite, but there was a subtle, almost imperceptible air of quiet satisfaction radiating from her. It wasn't gloating or arrogance, but rather the quiet confidence of someone who had stood their ground, defended their honor, and emerged victorious, all without sacrificing their integrity. Brenda reached out a trembling hand and awkwardly took the key card from Maria. She didn't offer a word of thanks, or even a cursory glance. With a mumbled, almost inaudible, "Whatever," she turned abruptly and hurried away, her expensive heels clicking unevenly on the marble floor. She moved with a speed that bordered on undignified, desperate to escape the scene of her public humiliation. Her shoulders were slumped, her head bowed, and the earlier swagger had completely vanished. It was painfully obvious to everyone watching. Brenda was deeply embarrassed by her outburst and eager to put as much distance as possible between herself and the Peninsula Manila lobby. As Brenda disappeared into the throng of the lobby, the other guests in line turned their attention to Maria. The atmosphere, once tense and uncomfortable, now buzzed with a sense of shared relief and admiration. "You handled that beautifully," the elderly woman said, stepping forward with a warm smile. She was completely out of line. The businessman nodded in agreement. "Absolutely remarkable. You kept your cool and put her in her place. Well done." Others echoed their sentiments, offering words of support, appreciation, and even a few quiet expressions of awe. They commended her poise, her intelligence, and her unwavering professionalism. "Thank you all so much," Maria replied, her voice sincere and grateful. "I appreciate your kind words." She offered a warm smile, her composure fully restored. The Harvard graduate had vanished once more, replaced by the ever-professional hotel receptionist. But as she turned back to her work, a subtle sadness lingered in her eyes. The encounter with Brenda had stirred up something within her, a reminder of the sacrifices she had made and the dreams she had put on hold. The quiet satisfaction of winning the battle was tempered by the bittersweet knowledge of the war she was still fighting. After the line had thinned out, a kind-faced woman approached Maria with a gentle smile. "Excuse me," she said softly. "I couldn't help but overhear. You handled that woman with such grace. I was wondering, if you don't mind me asking, what's your story?" The question, posed with genuine curiosity and empathy, opened a floodgate. Maria, usually so reserved, found herself confiding in the stranger about her scholarship, her Harvard degree, and her difficult decision to return home. It was a brief but heartfelt conversation, a sharing of sacrifices and aspirations, a moment of human connection amidst the impersonal bustle of the hotel lobby. The day wore on, the lobby once again a whirlwind of activity. Maria paused for a moment, looking out at the bustling scene. Tourists arriving with wide-eyed wonder, businessmen rushing to meetings, families embarking on new adventures. A mix of pride and resignation flickered across her face. Pride in her ability to handle difficult situations, to uphold the values of her country and her hotel. Resignation at the limitations life had imposed, the path not taken. Yet, in that moment, she was a symbol of resilience, of quiet strength, embodying the true spirit of the Philippines. Grace, intelligence, and unwavering dedication, even in the face of adversity. This story serves as a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. We often make snap judgments about people based on their clothing, their accent, or their profession, failing to recognize the hidden depths and the untapped potential that lie beneath the surface. Maria's experience underscores the importance of looking beyond superficialities and appreciating the inherent worth of every individual. It also highlights the crucial need to respect service workers, regardless of their position. They are not mere cogs in a machine, but human beings with their own stories, their own struggles, and their own dreams. A little kindness and empathy can go a long way, and treating everyone with dignity is not just good manners, but a reflection of our own humanity.